Straight ahead on WBKB, the 117th Congress is sworn in. What happens next?
Plus, Alpena County Commissioners announce new officers, and Mid-Michigan Alpena welcomes 2021's first baby of the year.
You're watching Thunder Bay News Network. WBKB News at 6 starts now.
This is WBKB News at 6. An in-depth look at news, weather, and sports. From hard-hitting news stories to local events, we're there with coverage you can count on. You're watching WBKB News at 6.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Sherry Stewart.
And I'm Tyler Cruz. Well, the 117th U.S. Congress was sworn in on Sunday, with Republicans holding a 51-48 advantage in the Senate and Democrats having 11 more seats in the House of Representatives. The Senate majority may change after the runoff elections in Georgia this week.
Also this weekend, in a recording obtained by the Washington Post, President Donald Trump is heard asking Georgia's Secretary of State to find over 11,000 votes for the president and reverse the state's election outcome.
I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have.
It is reported the president also contacted Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania officials. Dr. Douglas Jones, an election security expert with the University of Iowa, described the call as shocking.
It sounded like classic mob boss behavior, and that really concerns me. It does seem to threaten our democracy.
Dr. Jones says hidden among the conspiracy theories are legitimate complaints about the electoral process.
I think we have to improve the observability of elections. We have to improve the transparency. The fact is, you shouldn't need to be an expert in order to figure out that the election was conducted fairly.
And House Democrats are calling on the FBI to open a criminal investigation into President Trump's call.
Well, Shari, if President Trump is successful, a few things will happen. If no candidate receives 270 electoral votes for whatever reason, a contingent election is triggered based on the 12th Amendment. The House will vote on the president, and that's only happened twice and not since 1824. It's not straightforward either. Each of the 50 delegations in the House gets one vote. So one for Michigan, one for California, one for Rhode Island, and so on. If that doesn't decide anything, the Senate would vote on a vice president, where a simple majority would win. But wait, there's more. If the Senate deadlocks their vice president vote, the President Succession Act of 1947 says the seat of the president would automatically go to the Speaker of the House. And since she was elected by the House this morning, America would temporarily have a President Nancy Pelosi.
Well, in other news, we have new developments in the domestic terrorist plot to kidnap or kill Governor Gretchen Whitmer. WBKB's Tiffany Maddox has the update.
A man accused of helping organize a plot to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer is asking a federal judge to release him from jail pending trial. 45-year-old Barry Croft is one of 6 men facing federal conspiracy to commit kidnapping charges in the alleged plot. But unlike the other men, he has yet to appear in Michigan. According to court filings, Croft has been held at a federal prison in Philadelphia since he was arrested in October, which his attorney calls an unreasonable delay. According to the U.S. State Attorney, COVID-19 is playing a role in that wait time. The other 5 defendants have already made several court appearances. In a recent response, the U.S. Attorney's Office says releasing Croft is unsupported and unreasonable, calling him a violent extremist. The other 5 men facing federal charges are all being held without bond. A judge rejected an appeal for bond from one of the defendants last month. It's unclear when a ruling will come down on Croft's detention. For WBKB News, I'm Tiffany Maddox.
And Rogers City announced Monday that the public areas of City Hall will continue to be closed. Due to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services guideline and the increased COVID-19 community spread in Presque County. City Hall will remain closed through January 15th. Staff will still be available by phone Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Exact cash or check payments can be left in the drop box along with an attached billing statement or note explaining the payment. Payments by card can be made at rogercity.com or over the phone. Vendors making deliveries are asked to access the back building at Michigan Avenue. The city will reassess the closure as it gets closer to January 15th.
Well, the Alpena County Board of Commissioners met Monday and nominated their chairman and vice chairman. The board also discussed paid time off for county employees. Commissioners nominated Robert Adrian as their chairman. Adrian is going on his 5th term as chairman for the Board of Commissioners. He says 2020 has been his most trying year, and he shared the biggest challenges the board faces going forward.
We have a real big challenge with our county budget. We've had diminishing tax revenues for the last approaching 50 years.
Also nominated was Marty Thompson as vice chairman of the board. Commissioners will meet this Thursday to discuss the cap for paid time off for county employees. Because of COVID-19, many employees could not use their PTO time and lost that benefit as of January 1st, that is.
Mid-Michigan Medical Center welcomes the first baby of 2021 in Alpena. Alyssa and Stephen Budnick welcomed their baby boy Jackson, who was born at 1:27 a.m. this morning. When asked how she felt, Alyssa had this to say.
Kind of crazy. This isn't my first New Year's baby, so it's kind of crazy that it's happening again.
It took approximately 17 hours to get here, but came in weighing 5 pounds and 15 ounces. Alyssa says giving birth this time was challenging because of the COVID restrictions at the hospital. Alyssa felt overwhelmed with emotion today as Jackson's birth has a double meaning for her.
Jackson shares the same birthday as my great grandma who has passed away. Today is her birthday too, so it kind of has a double meaning for me.
Well, Jackson is the youngest of 6, and Dad says they may welcome another seat at the table.
Well, very nice,
Yeah,
huh?
it's always nice to have a first baby
Well,
boy.
congratulations and welcome, Jackson. There's more news ahead for you here on WBKB. Coming up, is it a buyer or seller's market? We talked.
It was nice today. Hopefully we get that later
Yeah.
in the week. Well, it's a great time for homeowners right now. We spoke to one local realtor on why it's the perfect time to sell your house. The pandemic has impacted a few industries in ways no one saw coming, and real estate was one of them. Home buyers usually aren't the only ones looking at a particular home, and that gives sellers somewhat of an advantage. WBKB spoke to Cindy Limbach of RE/MAX New Solutions about the current market we're in.
And they will typically be able to pick from multiple offers between like a cash and a mortgage. Inventory is low, so demand is high.
And even though it's a seller's market right now, that's not to say it's a bad time to buy a home. With low interest rates right now, people are looking to find property before we see a future spike.
Right now, the benefit to the buyers is the low mortgage interest rates. So we just don't know what the interest rates will look like in a couple years. So now it is still a good time to buy because of those rates.
Limbach also had advice for those on the fence about buying or selling.
For buyers, I would say don't hesitate. May have to go over list price in order to get the property that you want. As far as sellers go, their best bet is not to wait to put their house on the market. A lot of people think that winter's not a good time.
She predicts a similar real estate market for 2021 as rates seem to be staying put for the recent future. And Alpena isn't unique in this situation. Sellers around the country are benefiting from the current market.
Well, in health news, a link between heart disease and mental health, and alarming new numbers about kids and COVID. Elise Preston has some of the day's top health stories.
Children are not escaping the latest coronavirus surge in the U.S. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, as of December 24th, 2 million children had tested positive for COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic, half of them since November 12th. A new study in the journal Pediatrics suggests a link between juvenile heart disease and mental health. 18.2% of children with congenital heart problems were found to have suffered from anxiety and/or depression. That's compared to just 5.2% of kids who don't have heart disease. Researchers at Cardiff University say people with certain genetic conditions often have significant symptoms of autism, but won't necessarily meet all the criteria to be diagnosed with it. They say clinicians need to be aware of that possibility so no one who needs help is denied it. Those are some of the day's top health stories. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
And coming up on WBKB News, Ellie Morrison.
If 2020 were a snowman. She says this snowman in Spruce has been discolored, lost an eye, is held up by one stick arm, but still standing. Thank you, Lori, for sending us this photo. If you have a photo such as nature shots, pics with friends, or interesting sights you see that you'd like to send us, email it along with a short description to news@wbkb11.com.
Well, I've never seen 2020 as a snowman, but I'm sure it would look something like that.
Yeah.
Jake Vanderbrook is back, and we can go easy on him today. He's trying a New Year's resolution, drinking one less cup of coffee every day. Jake, how's that going for you on Monday?
Tyler, I'm already struggling and still have 361 more days to go. But anyways, coming up next in sports, it's official. We know where this year's big dance will be held for men's basketball. I'll let you know where. And even though the Lions dropped their season finale to the Vikings on Sunday, Matt Prater boots his way to the record books yet again. See what I did there? More on that story up next in sports.
And of course, nothing's automatic.
Well, as always, you can read more about our broadcast stories and get the scoop on other news items online.
Just visit WBKB11.com for sports, weather, and news updates anytime, day or night.
Or be sure to check us out on our Facebook page and Twitter handle at WBKB11.
And that's all we have for you this evening. Be sure to catch us back here tonight at 11 for more with Stephanie Manici. Have a great evening.